Breaking news for crypto investors, XRP ETF inflows just passed Bitcoin. And during today's episode, we're going to show our community how XRP stands alone when it comes to institutional demand out of Wall Street. With XRP's new small ETF product nearly tripling what Bitcoin was able to do after BlackRock launched the first spot ETF, it goes to show that institutions have arrived and the demand is here. We're also going to break down some future XRP price predictions that were circulating on Twitter. With this new chart getting over 500,000 views in the last 12 hours, we're going to discuss the validity of what XRP ETFs could do in the long run for people invested in the asset XRP. Hello and welcome back to another episode of Good Evening Crypto, your favorite crypto news related channel. If you enjoy this content, smash that like button and subscribe, as you're going to get an update every single day, 5:30 p.m. Eastern time. And tomorrow night, 9 p.m. Eastern, Jake Claver will be joining our show to do a live interview. So if you're excited about that, smash that like and stick around for tomorrow. Now, diving into the breaking news for today, we are looking at the daily ETF inflows for the asset in XRP. And what do we know for sure? XRP was breaking records last week after the $200 million asset manager Canary Capital launched the first ever XRP ETF on the NASDAQ. Now, there were many predictions out there. Bloomberg, 17 million. Scott Melker, 25 million. We saw $250 million worth of inflows and broke a record for NASDAQ volume, completing over $59 million worth of daily volume today. Now, what's so great about this, Johnny, is that people are buying the asset. Now, what's not great about this, it's not impacting the XRP price chart yet. And that's what we're going to go through the major portion of today's episode. So be sure to stick around for the entire show as we go through how Bitcoin is being beat by XRP and how XRP's ETFs could have a major impact on the price chart. So before we get into the specifics about how the XRP ETF may impact the price chart, we've got some breaking news in regards to BlackRock, Bitcoin, and XRP. As BlackRock's Bitcoin ETF got crushed by Canary Capital's ETF product on the first day, more than doubling the size of the inflows. BlackRock's product was able to receive 111 million in the first 24 hours, where Canary Capital, which is 1/100th the size of BlackRock, was able to outpace them by 2.5 times, receiving $245 million worth of inflows. This shows the demand is there. Now we have to think, what could this do in the long run?
You're right, Abs. You know, at the end of the day, I know the question on everybody's mind is, well, wait a minute. If it beat it by twice, why didn't the price go up? And I think what people aren't realizing is you have to go back and look at the price action of Bitcoin. And Bitcoin didn't move up because of the ETFs. It moved up prior to the ETFs, almost like kind of buy the rumor, sell the news deal. And so there were a lot of other things driving, I think, the price of Bitcoin up other than the ETFs. But a lot of people, I think, assumed it was the ETFs. And therefore, a lot of people assumed that they were going to do the same thing for this. And I think we're all learning, like, look, you know what? There's more behind the scenes than just the inflows of this. And if the inflows, as we talked about on the show the other day, of these don't exceed what the daily volumes are that these that XRP, for example, is doing, then we're not going to see much of a price movement. And that's exactly what happened, right? We saw that, but we didn't get a lot of price. So I think it's just important for people to understand that we were anticipating on this show that a bunch of these were going to happen on the same day, and we're going to get a much larger number than 245 in the billions, and then that would drive it up, and we didn't see that happen. So I just encourage everybody to temper their expectations, but at the end of the day, understand that, you know, the way these things work, Abs, and we talked about this on the show a lot, it's really the market's a zero-sum game. So as more money and liquidity comes in, that drives things up, and as liquidity comes out, it drives things down. And I think that's what we're looking for, is what are those liquidity events? And we've heard Raoul Paul talk more specifically, like he thinks this thing is more tied to liquidity events and restructuring the debt than 4-year cycles. And maybe that's something that the whole world is going to start realizing, like, wow, everybody got it wrong. We're going to see. Time will tell.
Time will tell. And for the short term, guys, the price action of these altcoins is being dictated by Bitcoin, but maybe there's a decoupling event on the horizon with all this new institutional inflow ready to enter the crypto market. Now, as we begin to break this down, if you're enjoying this content, smash that like button and leave your peak 2025 XRP price prediction below the video as we go through this content, because here's what's really simple. More money into the asset, number of the asset go up. And what are we seeing right now? Hundreds of millions, if not billions of dollars move from the sidelines into our favorite asset in XRP. And the big part of the news that we are yet to address, guys, is Franklin Templeton, Bitwise, Grayscale, and nearly 5 other companies are set to have XRP spot products go live in America before November 25th. That is in the next 8 days. So we're just going to go through the results of one product. When you think about 8, 10, 12 products going live in the next couple of weeks, we could really see that 80-cent pump that we've been waiting for on these XRP ETFs. And a lot of people think that might be a low number. That could be exactly what we need to get this party started. But breaking down some of the information that we know thus far, we're looking at the daily acquisitions for the first ever XRP ETF. If this daily average continues, meaning XRP ETFs continue to accumulate 11 million units of XRP off the open market daily, you would multiply this by the 12 different ETF funds we're anticipating coming this month. This gets us to 132 million XRP being absorbed both OTC and off open exchanges daily. That would mean 666 million weekly and a 2.64 billion monthly projection. That would dramatically change the market. Now, if you extrapolate this and you look at what could happen over a year, if we see 11 million XRP absorbed daily, you are looking at 31,680 million units of XRP being taken off the open market and taken off the OTC desks, put into the hands of these long-term holders. Now, we went to the AI mechanism as people do in 2025, and we said, what would this do to the price chart? Well, we're operating under the estimation that all of these products will be approved. So bear with me here through this analogy. If you look at the short term, meaning over the next 1 to 3 months, the video we shared yesterday about the ETF dark pools, about the institutional dark pools, perfectly aligns with some of the results that we're going to go through here. In the short term, we are looking at an XRP price chart that could be anywhere from 245 to 750 in the next 1 to 3 months. In the midterms, meaning over these next 4 to 6 months, we could see things get parabolic. And the reason for that is because we would reach an inflection point on these exchanges where there's not enough OTC XRP to keep up with the demand that has entered the market. And this is where the video gets very exciting. So if you've been with us this far, shout out to you. It is worth sticking around. People have been throwing out dramatically higher price targets, not just $20 or $30. We're talking 50, 80, 100, even $1,000 XRP. This is the equation that we would need to get there. Here's what we would need: billions and billions of dollars to come into the market, buy XRP, and move it off exchanges. If that occurs definitively, the XRP price will move up. Now, it's anybody's best guess how high, but that's the data and information we're going to get into right now. So if we look at the current available circulating supply in the OTC desks and on exchanges, and the majority of this, I think it's 27 billion tokens are available OTC. Only 2.8 billion tokens worth of XRP are actually available liquid on exchanges. If we look at the rate at which we could see this XRP absorbed from the market, we're looking at a relative reduction of about 8% in the first month. That means you would go from 32 billion in circulating supply to 29 billion. We're going to continue here. If you look at month 2, you're looking at 26 billion in circulating supply, including OTC. Month 3, you're looking at 23 billion. Now, here's where it gets exciting. You go to month 6, we're now down to only 15 billion. You go to month 9, we're in single digits now, just under 8 billion in OTC and exchanges. And if you look 1 month year out, if we're able to keep this inflow rate and absorb this XRP, not just off the exchanges like Coinbase and Binance, but off the OTC desks as well, we are looking at 0 XRP available for OTC. Now, again, this isn't the whole story. We're just extrapolating on the math that we've seen thus far, but I'm anticipating on some of these days, we may actually outpace 132 million worth of XRP, especially once these products are launched in the month of November. Let us know in the chat. Smash that like button if you find this conversation interesting. Let us know if you agree. But Johnny Krypto, what's your reaction to this data?
Yeah, so when I look at this, the first thing is you get a little excited, right? Everybody's saying, "Oh my God, this is great, it's gonna go up." But guys, let me. When I look at it, what I see is the other side of the story that's missing is, okay, well, remember, there's also 37 billion in escrow that can be injected into it that will absorb that. So you still have all of that needs to be played with. Plus, this assumes that you're just always buying and never selling, and that isn't going to be the case. People buy ETFs and they sell ETFs all the time. So really, it's missing a couple of those things that when you factor them in, I would temper. My expectations are completely tempered. I don't think those numbers we're going to see anywhere near those numbers. The higher numbers, the lower ones, along with the dark pool stuff that we helped identify yesterday through CypressX, I think are very realistic. But when you start moving down the chart into the 5-6 month thing, that's when all those other dynamics come into play. And I just want our audience to be aware, like when you see stuff like this online, don't just grab it and run with it, right? Ask yourself what's missing, or what are the other sides of the story? And that's what we're trying to help here put together, Abs. And when I factor in the other side of the story, it's probably going to look like a very different number. So all you could do is like, look, it's directional. Okay, maybe this could happen. But the reality is, there's other things at play. There's going to be selling. There's going to be more escrow coming in. And so the reality is these numbers are probably nowhere near what I think they would be in the long run down there at the bottom. But if people want to use them, they can, but just understand there's other things that could dilute the market share. Now, the good news, let's talk about what's exciting here, is we do have the ETFs coming, and they will be removing supply off the shelf. There will be a good chunk that will be set aside. And that's what I'm excited about, because that does two things for our audience. One, it's going to provide a less volatile, more stable price point to some degree once we figure out what the buys and sells are going to look like. And two, I do expect it to lead to some price appreciation. What that is, again, very hard to tell until we can see what the numbers look like and what the volumes continue. But to me, at least on the upside, we've got some good things in front of us coming to take some volume off the table.
And we can always debate how high we think the price is going to go. But one thing me and Johnny absolutely agree on is that as more money enters this project and more money is taken off these exchanges, we are going to see a steadily increasing price. The real question is, how high does it go? And if we extrapolate on this example even further, it goes to show in month one, $3.50, in month two, $5, in month three, $7.50, in month four, $12, in month six, $33, in month 10, $7.50, in month 12, 15,000. I am willing to take anyone's bet. We are not going to reach those dramatically higher price targets there at the bottom. But if you ask me, hey, Abs, where do you think we are in a year? $8, $12, absolutely possible. And in the short term, those numbers that we went through with the dark pools yesterday, those are very realistic goals for the XRP community. Now, depending on your portfolio, it may not be the generational wealth that we came into this market for, but it's a great start. And I think the first thing the XRP community really has to see here is a closure above the all-time high of $3.84. From that point forward, we need daily closures above $4.40 and eventually $5.17 on the price chart, at least according to where the institutions are planning to take some profit. Now, again, this does not mean that's where the market is going to peak. It just means that's where sellers are going to step in, and we're probably going to see some resistance. It's anyone's best guess as to how high this asset will go. And if you want to take a bullish approach to the XRP price chart, look at the RSI, which is basically fully reset from those 2024 lows prior to Donald Trump's election. And as you guys can tell at the bottom of the screen, this was a 50-cent asset last time the RSI was this low. Now we're trading at $2.12. Some more bullish news for XRP investors. When you look at the Ethereum/XRP pairing and the Bitcoin/XRP pairing, both of those look bullish. We could be looking at a situation where Bitcoin and Ethereum are trading down and sideways, while XRP is either maintaining value or growing. And if you really think about where this space is going to be over the next few years, it's not going to be defined by the next 3 to 6 months. It will be defined by which companies funnel the most real world products onto these blockchains, and Ripple is number one in that category, guys. So let us know underneath the video, do you believe in these XRP price predictions, and are you bullish on the XRP ETF? Johnny, any closing remarks for today?
I couldn't agree with you more. I think that's exactly the way to think about it, is which one of these is going to be able to survive the long run, get past speculation, and create adoption and utility. And I really think with Ripple in the corner, with Brad saying that XRP is at the center of everything they do, I totally feel like anything we get now through the ETFs is great. It brings us up into those, $3, $4, $5 levels that we've been talking about. But I think then you sit there and you say, okay, well, what's going to take us above that? And that's where I think the work that Ripple is doing to grow the whole entire XRPL ecosystem is going to bring benefit to the XRP community and the XRP blockchain. So that's how I'm looking at it. I just look at it as staircases. The ETFs were just something grounded, and then Ripple's work will be the next level. Plus the Clarity Act will bring in a bunch of liquidity as well. So I think I'm excited. There's a lot of good things on the horizon. I just think people need to temper their expectations. We've been very consistent on this show, as we've always talked about $4 to $5 price point, $6 to $8, maybe 10 to 12 with a super cycle. We've never, ever thought way beyond that, much higher than those levels, although, of course, not everybody talking about it. But I think it's just important that people kind of temper their expectations and kind of look at a roadmap of where this can go. And I think if you have conservative approaches over time, we can get there with XRP.
Agreed, Johnny Krypto. If you enjoyed this content, smash that like button, subscribe to the channel, and we'll see you all in the next one.
Good night.
So if you're looking to do the same strategies that we implement here on Good Evening Crypto, I would advise everybody sign up for Merlin and click on the ITrust Capital link below. Now, why did these two ideas play off one another? Merlin is going to allow our listeners to understand where they should be taking profit in this market, and ITrust is going to allow our listeners to take that profit tax-free through an IRA product. Now, that's not the best part about this. We are giving new clients a $100 sign-up bonus using the promo code GEC9. So I would encourage everybody, click on the link below the video, use promo code GEC9, and set yourself up for success during this crypto bull market.